Page 1, first sentence in the advertising rule book, sex sells. But when the pitch involves scantily clad bodies positioned to arouse and a constant tsunami of sexual and suggestive imagery leers from televisions, magazines and the internet, it's not just the adult world that takes notice.
Mother of two Julie Gale became so fed up with the everyday bombardment of sexual imagery that she's made it her mission to change things. As the founder of Kids Free to Be Kids, Julie is thrilled at last week's announcement of the Senate inquiry into the sexualisation of children, and she joins us now. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
What do you mean when you talk about the sexualisation of children? It works on two levels, really, doesn't it?
It does. It's the early or premature sexualisation of children before they're ready to process that sort of sexualised information developmentally. Directly means that children, direct sexualisation means that children perhaps are being portrayed in a sexualised way, and indirectly...
For instance, in a catalogue.
Yeah, in a catalogue, for example, or in advertisement. Indirectly would mean what they're exposed to in their environment. So that would be sexualised imagery on billboards, MTV music video hits on Saturday and Sunday mornings in children's viewing times, which are really just like soft pornography.
Yeah.
Don't think there's any argument about that one. Young girls magazines, which are unregulated, porn magazines available at kids' eye levels, you know, all around. So,
look, we had an amazing reaction last time we had you on the show, and I want to point out really early on, you are not a wowser.
I'm not a wowser or a prude, no. I'm a comedy writer and performer, and when I give...
And you're a parent.
And I'm a parent. I have a 13-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son, and that's where my major concern has stemmed from.
And are they directly reacting? I asked the question because I know on several occasions, many occasions, I'll be driving in the car. My daughter, who is now 9 years old, will be sitting in the back, and she'll use that well-worn 9-year-old's expression, ew, when she sees stuff, and it's constant.
It is constant.
So how are your children reacting?
Oh, my son would rather not know about it. But my daughter is actually a fantastic detective. She and her friends are really on to things. They find inappropriate material in young girls' magazines for me. They find me, for example, Playboy makeup in certain popular shops where the blush will say, tie me to the bedpost, and the lip gloss is Hef's favourite lip gloss, you know. And I said to them, if it said Grandpa's favourite lip gloss, would you want to wear it, you know?
That's true. And the other thing, too, that I saw today was, and I think we've got some images of these, that it's actually wallpaper for mobile phones, which
in young girls' magazines.
Yeah, in a young girls' magazine which contains really suggestive comments. I mean...
I've written to a couple of young girls' magazines about these wallpapers, and really just, I question the appropriateness.
You know,
sex, when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's still pretty good.
See, and we don't know what age the children are who are looking at these.
Oh,
but
well,
if it's children,
yeah, anecdotally, they aim for 10 to 15.
You're kidding.
The tween market, yeah.
The tween market, yeah.
So 10-year-olds buying that particular magazine are somewhat inspired to put that as their telephone screensaver.
Well, some will be, because that's what they're being...
Okay, how on earth is this allowed to happen? I mean, where are the guidelines? Are there guidelines?
There are not enough guidelines. Young girls' magazines are not regulated at all. And
not at all?
Not at all.
Anything can exist in that magazine?
Apparently so. And a lot of things that are really inappropriate for that age level do go in, yes. They were recently giving away, one of the magazines was recently giving away free Playboy T-shirts. And I rang them and said, it sort of seems to me that you're grooming young girls to wear a major brand of the pornography industry. That's quite an extraordinary thing to be doing in a young girls' magazine. Yes, it's interesting.
You're actually, or we as parents, I think, are actually battling a much bigger problem here. It seems to be so accepted. It seems to be so accepted that children are portrayed in a certain way, and that these images are out there for our children to see, doesn't it?
I think as a society we've become a bit desensitised to what's actually going on, and we've got to a point where we just... Well, I think in a way, from the thousands of people who have contacted me in the last 12 months who are very, very concerned, that's internationally as well as Australia-wide, by the way, I think that people are tremendously concerned but feel powerless to do anything about it, because our advertising industry is self-regulated, has a voluntary code of ethics, it's a reactionary system, billboards are not screened or vetted before they go out at all, and so people don't, and the system, the complaint system is so confusing. If you want to complain about an ad on TV or an ad on radio or something in a newspaper or a magazine, they're all different avenues. No one has a clue. Even I, after 12 months, still get confused by the system.
But look, I seriously cannot believe that an advertiser is honestly trying to sell sex to 10-year-olds. Are they seriously thinking that, or are they, as you say, it's just been desensitised? There are no guidelines, and they just think, well, this is carte blanche, and we can throw it out to anybody.
I don't think that's their aim. I think that it's lazy advertising. Sex sales is lazy. I don't see much creativity in it. But I think that they forget that we have children in the environment. You know, you put out an advertising campaign aimed at adults. Well, it's not only adults that's going to see it.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? I was just writing down a note to ask you. It's that children see sex and sexiness as being grown up. And so children are then that tweenage group. They're clearly going to be enticed by that advertising because it's grown up to them, isn't it?
And I think important to say here is that it's not just the concern of me. It's not just the concern of other parents. Research and child development experts back up our concerns. There are actually impacts on young kids now, links to sexualisation of kids.
Oh, now look at these ads. These really made me feel ill, actually, when I saw these.
Yeah, this Lee campaign is a couple of years old now, and interestingly, that first image that was shown with the young woman with the lollipop in her mouth had thousands of complaints.
You would question whether that is, in fact, a young woman.
Well, the Advertising Standards Board dismissed the complaints. That ad was not pulled because they said she's clearly not an underage woman. No, she's... and the actual model was 18 at the time. She only looks 14 or 15, but that doesn't seem to matter. And so the Advertising Standards Board, well, you see, they follow a Code of Ethics, Section 2.3 of the Code of Ethics is about sex and sexuality. It's very limited. And really, unless there are nipples or genitals showing on a billboard, it's anything goes.
Oh, they're almost,
you know. So I know they're almost, but they're covered. And you'll often see the Advertising Standards Board will say, we note that the nipples were covered by tassels, or the nipples were covered by something. Therefore, case dismissed. So there's nothing that covers the sexual objectification of women or men. There's nothing that covers the impact of the sexualisation on children either.
And there's another larger issue in all of this too. It's that are we becoming, as a nation, given that the sexual assault rates in children in Australia are 1 in 4 young girls is sexually molested, 1 in 7 young boys, or 1 in 7 boys is sexually molested.
By the time they're 18, and they are conservative.
They're conservative figures. Given that they're the statistics at the moment that just absolutely shock and horrify me, you know, are all of these images validation?
Well, of course
pedophiles.
they are. Yes, they are, and child development experts will say that. Dr. Louise Newman speaks out about that very issue quite often. And I think that's right. Here we are in a privileged Western society providing our children with sexualised imagery, and there are so many layers and levels of this conversation you could go to, and I don't often go cover all these levels because I think first and foremost we have to wake up parents that this is an issue. We have to wake up the corporate world that they are impacting children. They are starting to wake up. It's a slow process. But, you know, even you look at the statistics, over 1.2 million children throughout the world are trafficked in sex trafficking every year. Now, that's extraordinary. So at one level, we're feeding that as well.
Clearly there is widespread concern, and the concern is building, hence the realisation of the Senate inquiry.
Now, the Senate inquiry is fantastic because it sends out a message to the community and to the corporate world that this is a serious message and it's a serious issue and it's being dealt with seriously.
What will be its terms of reference? What will it be specifically?
Well, it'll be looking at the causes of sexualisation, they'll be looking at the impacts, they'll be looking at the strategies that can be put in place. It will be recommendations that they come out with, not actually affecting change. So it's really important to me that the community get behind this and send in a submission. Now, this is an open inquiry. It's open to everybody, not only child development experts, and that is key. Now, I've made this process easy. If people want to go to the Kids Free to Be Kids website, then you can either write your own submission and the information's there, or we've prepared a statement that you can alter, you can add to, you can delete, and push, click, and your submission will go. This is a great opportunity.